passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on, so Nuoff in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haight deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's allowed to have fun. Yeah, it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching the Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
Oh, they're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such chopper. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry. Good evening and welcome to round one live from Donington National of the JPB TCR Touring Car Championship Cup. I am James Parfitt and I am joined in the booth by the one, the only, the Mr. Zach Sweeney here this evening, who's going to be alongside me for this epic championship beginning. Now, apologies after last week. Of course, we have had to change the calendar due to session issues last week, and Silverstone has been added on to the end. So what is the format? We've got qualifying coming up for you very, very shortly here as well. In about precisely 9 minutes, we'll be going into qualifying for, and then after qualifying, it'll be race 1 for 20 minutes, and then set by the grid from qualifying, and race 2 for 20 minutes with a top 15 reverse. The drivers do have 1 fast repair incident warning drive-through at 17 and 5 after that, and the setups are fixed. Point system itself, we will be running Pro and Am classes structure, and these will be worked out by our website that Adam Townsmer does for us at iRace. So a big shout out to Adam for that one as well. There'll be 2 driver team championships and a Pro and Am Championship, so we'll have 1 drop round as well. Ams and Pros are allocated the same points, so there's not a progressive score system. Basically, in the Heat 1, if the Am wins their class, they get 25 points, and if in Heat 2, if the Pro wins their class, they will get 25 points as well. And then, sorry, in Heat 2, you get 33 for the win in both classes. So it's not a progressive system. It is 1 set of scores for the AMs and the same set of scores for the Pros. Welcome in, Phil. Hope you are well as well. We've got 28 cars on track here. Going to be racing around this Donington Park circuit, and it is an absolute epic circuit here as well. 10 turns as well at this amazing track. But let's bring in Zach Sweeney to have a chat to Zach about the track and the series. Zach, welcome in.
Hello, I'm looking forward to kickstarting this season. I mean, we got there eventually last week, and I think it turned into a really successful media day. And it really gave us a great taster for what's to come. And I think, honestly, made us more excited for the JPB TCR Cup. Of course, you know, we had the excitement building up to it, changing over from SRL into JPB. But I think seeing the racing that we saw in Silverstone just hyped us up so much more. So fingers crossed for more of the same here in Donny.
Yeah, definitely. That's going to be the interesting thing. We have got 37 car drivers signed up for it. I know some are on holiday, and I know some are missing rounds due to them holidays. So we do have 28 cars on track. Now, even 28 cars at Donny, a good spread of Pro and Ams as well. We're kind of almost on a 50-50 mix here, and I think that's what is going to make it interesting for everyone as well, because even though we're doing this top 15, the Pros currently are taking up the top 13 spots. So it's kind of that even spread of drivers, and I think that's what's going to make this season so interesting, is because we are going to have a double battle, for a battle in the AMs and a battle in the Pros.
Yeah, and again, that's what I love about the sort of the classes, the individual, because it means that no matter your skill level, you've always got something someone to race, something to race for. If we had just a continuous 28 car field, granted, maybe that would be interesting, force people to be a bit more competitive, and it would make the midfield really close. But it would really sort of, if you're down in P25, 26, 27, you're thinking, well, I'm not really fighting for anything. There's no top 5 in the championship. There's no championship win for me. There's nothing like that on offer. What's the point in me even turning up? Obviously, some people would do that because they enjoy it, but other people are here to win. So I think splitting it into pros and AMs means that if you are in the AMs and maybe, you're not quite on the pace, it still means that if there's a reverse grid race, if you get lucky, if you're on the pace for 1 week, you can still get yourself a podium. And relative to you in your class, that means a lot, which I think keeps people happy, keeps people enticed, keeps people motivated in order to keep coming up. And I'm just looking forward to 2 brilliant displays of racing action across the pros and the AMs, because the pros, you've got the likes of Callum Regarten, who, if anyone's seen him in touring cars, he is an alien. Arthur Thurtle, Dan Mould, Gary Craig, all inside the top 4 at the moment in practice. They are huge names. And that's the pros. Obviously, then you go to the AMs. So many familiar names, so many fast names as well. So just because they're in the AMs, James, doesn't necessarily mean they're slow. It just means, we're in for some great competition.
I think that's the thing. What we've done as well is we've obviously taken a 2.5 cap limit on the AMs and the pros. But there are some very quick AMs, the likes of Jay Corley, the likes of Alan McCain, Chris Barnes, Jess Rukowski, they're all fast drivers. But they didn't make it into the pros, partly because you've got the likes of Callum Regarten, who's nearly a 7K, Arthur Thurtle, 5.5, Dan Mould, 5.6, Gary Craig, 5.2, Adam Dalmont, 3.6, Jono Johnson, 4.2. That's quite an epic spread of I-rating as well. And I just want to say really quickly, good evening to Paul LeMay, who apparently is in tours on France. Sim Racing Community, Tom Weston, who's just got back from Ireland, and evening all from Holland, says Ewan Bramer. So, stay tuned for this one, because if you've not seen touring cars, it's going to be very, very exciting. It is the first time out on the Stewart system as well that we are trialling for this TCR series, to see how that goes as well. But the fact that we've got the likes of people in here, look at the spread, look at the strength of field in the pros, it's nearly 4K, look at the AMs, it's nearly 2K. It's crazy how we've just got this amazing talented driver set up here for these TCRs.
Oh yeah, and it's, that's because, everyone loves touring cars, right? I mean, they're not my favourite thing to drive, but they're some of my favourite things to watch. And they always attract such a big audience. That's why, series like the BTCC is so big, because it's so raw and passionate in touring cars, in real life and in the sim as well. They do it because they love it. And it's, it sometimes maybe it is a little bit niche, and, certain people like the touring cars. But, fundamentally, they're cars that are relatively quick. They're front-wheel drive. They're fairly easy to get into and drive as well. They're not going to chew you up and spit you out every time you press the brake pedal. And they make for some really close and competitive racing because of the fact they are so user-friendly, and because if you do have a little bit of a doink, you're not going to, ruin your race by doing it. So it does entice you to go for those moves, and it has got that tolerance for small mistakes, which means that we often see some really good racing. And because they're sort of so simplistic, maybe a little bit lower powered compared to the GT3 cars and things, it makes the slipstream that much more effective, which further entices the battling to be close because everyone's in a nice long big pack. So yeah, touring cars are always so much fun, and of course, as we say, it doesn't hurt that we've got such a fantastic field of drivers who should boast some incredibly close lap times. And a circuit like Donington, with it, it's tight, it's twisty at some points, but it's nice and flowy, and again, there's plenty of overtaking opportunities. I remember all the way back to the United Touring Championship a few months ago. I think it was actually last year when we were commentating on that. And one of the races at Donington, it stands out to me as one of my favourite races to have commentated on ever, because it was just so close. People were chucking moves down the inside here at Donington. It's just a fun track in fun cars with fantastic drivers. What more could we have asked for? Yeah,
exactly. And I think, as you say, we talk about the cars itself, obviously within the real life situation with the BTC. Obviously, we have got rear wheel drives. Obviously, in iRacing, we've only got the front wheel drive versions of the two Hyundais, of course, the Elantra and the Veloster, and then we've got the Audi and the Honda Civic, and we've got them all on the grid here. To be honest, I don't think there's going to be one strong car because, you know, you've got the likes of Jono Johnson in an Audi, Gavin Gardner in an Audi, and then you've got obviously Callum Reed-Garton in the Elantra, Arthur Fertel in the Veloster, and Dan Mould in the Elantra as well. You know, there's lots of things going on here. We've even got the Honda Civics of Adam Wright joining in here as well. So we've got all of the cars that the iRacing have to offer. You know, yeah, I'd love the BTC cars that you can get in other simulators. I think it's R Factor 2. I've got them all as well, and that would be amazing. I'd love to do an R Factor 2 series, but unfortunately we're very iRacing led community, so it's tough to start that one. But what we have got is a great mix of cars. We've got a great mix of abilities. We've got everybody down at, you know, there's even some, Armand Brusso below 1K, and then there's people like Callum Reed-Garton at 7. So we've got that great spread, and we've got that great ability. Last week showed that we had great racing. You know, we haven't got Sam Blease here this week, unfortunately, either, who is not able to make it. But, you know, when you look at who is here, you're sitting back thinking, just kind of, wow. You know, Callum Reed-Garton, Arthur Fertel, Dan Mould, Gary Craig, Adam Wright. In the pros, that is. In the AMs, Jay Corley, Alan McCain. It is just physically insane. And even though there was that setup issue last week, you know, they took to it really well, and the media day at Silverstone went really, really well. You know, there was obviously, once people found out it was a media day, there were some questionable moves and things. But generally, the standard of racing was amazing, and I don't see us getting anything different for this. It's only a 6-race calendar, and I think overall it's just going to be fun-filled action, and I'm hoping trialing that steward system, I'm hoping they won't have to do much stewarding because people will see it for what it is. It is touring cars, and that's the situation that you have got within a touring car. We expect leaning, we expect rubbing, we expect, you know, door-to-door and the swapping paint, because I was watching the BTCC actually at Donny, and 2 cars were coming down the old hairpin. One guy just opened up the steering, knocked the other one off, and the commentator turned around and went, well, clearly he's had enough of him then. You know, and that's the spirit of touring cars, isn't it? That's the racing. That's what you get, and that's what you're expecting.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, obviously a week ago, I think the issues that we had at Silverstone was almost sort of a blessing in disguise, because in the end we had, as I say, that nice teaser to get us more hyped up for the season ahead. And you're right, sort of in the sense of the style of racing that we see in touring cars. You know, the rubbing is racing sort of thing. Obviously, motorsport is no contact, full stop, and you know, we shouldn't expect or necessarily want to see contact. It's more the fact that these cars have that tolerance. So much so that if you see that in F1, people go in wheel to wheel and they touch. I mean, just think back to Lewis Hamilton getting launched by Alonso last year at Spa. Basically, any overtake that involves contact in F1, someone has either lost a bit of front wing, broken a suspension, cried on the radio, or has ended their race. Right? Do that in touring cars. Yeah, it would be a bit of, you know, effing and jeffing and not very nice words said on the radio or whatever, but they can still carry on. Their car is still competitive, and they can still compete. And you know, it's not necessarily that, it's fantastic racing because they're pushing each other off. It's fantastic racing because if they do end up pushing each other off, they can still then have a tussle and the race isn't over just because someone made a mistake. That's what I love about touring cars, as I say, that tolerance and that acceptance that, you know, things go wrong sometimes, which is fantastic. I mean, again, you know, vastly different to touring cars, but fundamentally the same, low aero and things. When I was commentated on Formula E, we had drivers knock off their front wings and just say, yeah, it's fine. Literally just was like, yeah, it's fine. We don't need the front wing because the cars are so raceable and they depend so little on the aerodynamics that they can still race with that front wing. I remember talking to Sergio Settecamera, of course, who drives for Neo in Formula E. He said if he could, he would knock off the front wing. If on the formation lap he had a choice, he'd get rid of it because for him it's better. His fear was actually coming into contact with someone and losing the front wing. So he would rather just get rid of it entirely. And again, that's open wheels and stuff. You would think that doesn't have any relevance to touring cars, but it kind of does, because it's the lack of reliance on aero to make the car go quick. These guys don't care about lap times. They just care about having a great race and trying to beat the rest of the people on the track. They're not going out there for lap records or anything like that. They are just going out there to drive that car as quick as they can. And touring cars as a series, as a discipline, it will always be one of my favourites because you always have something fun to watch.
Yeah, and I think that is what the spirit of it came out last week. It was fun. It was great. There were close battling. The international at Silverstone provided some great, interesting racing for us. It gave us that ability to basically watch people go wheel to wheel and absolutely go out and just go full bore. We had Arthur Fertile at the top of the standings. We had just racing, rubbing, the whole spirited thing. But now we're coming into Donny. We're now coming to the business end where the season started. Are we going to still see that close competitive racing? Or are we going to see I need to score points racing? Because at the end of the day, they've got to realise that, you're in it and you've got to score points. And in Heat 1, they score points all the way down to 25 or 25th. And the same for Heat 2. Obviously, with that progressive scoring the single scoring system, all of these drivers will score points overall. So on that aspect, they've got to think, I've got to get points on the board. We've just seen Arthur Fertile go on to top on a 112.48, Callum Regat on 112.54. The likes of Jono Johnson here sitting in third on a 112.54, and then we don't hit the 113s until the end of, even now down as far as Michael Hollingworth in the AMs down in 15th. So it just goes to show that even though there are AMs and they are slower or potentially or reportedly slower, they're still quick. To be within a second of the pros, it's going to provide some great racing.
Oh, that goes without saying. Again, going back to your point about points, obviously at the media day it was, don't really care because it doesn't really matter. If I crash out, if I win, I get no points either way. So there's no real point caring, just to go out there and have fun. So I sort of get it in that aspect of, kind of need to be a bit cautious because, yes, it's only the start of the season, and you might be saying, well, they've got the rest of the season to worry about the championship. They don't, because it is only a 6-round calendar. So from day one, they really need to be saying, okay, if I want to win this championship, how can I do it? And map it out. Okay, race 1, take a nice cautious start to the season, just do this, that, and the other. Fortunately for them, they've already had half of a day's running back at Silverstone to dust off the cobwebs and get familiar with each other. So in theory, they should be coming into Donington fairly confident, but still with that air of caution, again, as I say, to reward the consistency to win championships and things. But yeah, you are very right in saying that with the closeness and competitiveness of a circuit like this field, again, the gap between the pros and the AMs incredibly slim. You can only see that Alan McCain to Jay Corley, the slowest pro and the fastest AM, is less than a tenth of a second, which is fantastic. Again, it is a shorter circuit, Donington with less corners, so naturally you would expect smaller gaps. But, the majority of the calendar are smaller circuits, so therefore we should see smaller gaps. So this is what we should be familiar with. And to be honest, I will start to expect a bit of overlap between the pros and the AMs. Yes, obviously they're not racing for more points by having that overlap. But, Jay Corley could very easily, if he felt like it, he could gain a couple of positions past McCain and Delmont and Dory because of how close the times are.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. We know Alan McCain, if, on his day, he can be quick as well. And we're going to talk about the calendar. We're obviously starting off here at Donny, and then we go on to Knockhill, Snetterton, Oulton Park, Brands Hatch, and then we finish at Silverstone. Now, Oulton Park is the island, so we don't actually get down through Island Bend and down in Shell Oils. Obviously, Snetterton is the full 300 circuit. So there's some great circuits there ready to go. And then you go to Brands Hatch, where we're putting them on the full GP, and you sit back and think, wow, we've used every British track that we can, and in iRacing and the layouts that are as close to real life as possible, and we're just going to get that great racing all the way through with great circuits, great drivers, great racing. And I can only sit here and say, if you do want to get involved, guys, there is literally, I think, 2 or 3 spaces available. So please make sure, if you do want to get involved, get yourselves involved sooner rather than later, and come and join us for what plans to be an incredible season of racing here as well. And it's just one that's going to go off, I think, incredibly well, and I'm hoping that this steward system doesn't have a lot to do and they just basically take it as touring cars, because it is touring cars. You've got to expect some rubbing.
Oh yeah, 100%. And obviously, if the touring cars do fill up, let's not forget the JPB GT4 sign-ups have just opened. We've also got the Clio Cups, I think, are rounding off their season soon. So, a new season of that potentially as well. So there are plenty of things to do. I'd say the Clios, if you can't get into the touring cars, probably aim for the Clios. They're the closest thing to it. But again, close racing, go for the GT4s. So there's plenty to do in the JPB stuff. Of course, yes, there is an entry fee, but I'd say relative to most championships, it's a decent entry fee. You get what you pay for, I'd say. Good racing, respectful people, and that's the thing again. That's why you can sort of justify the entry fee, because you're not going to some random, run-of-the-mill championship that has, drivers from all over the place and drivers you don't really trust. Because you pay the entry fee and then you get crashed out every race. You won't get that at JPB, because you've got people that do it because they enjoy it. They know what they want to get out of it. They've got that respect. They've got that atmosphere. So yeah, I'd say if you definitely feel inclined to, and you want to get out on track, definitely come for some of the JPB leagues, because it's worth every penny, and you get a lot of championship out of it. Right now, of course, this is the JPB TCR Cup at Donington, and as we both said, looking forward to 2 fantastic races, and not long left to go in qualifying. And wow, look at that, how close it is amongst the top guys. Well, all of the guys really. Yeah, bring it on.
Second gap between 1st and 16th. I have posted the link to the league page of the JPB website. It has the GT4s, it has the Clio calendars, they're all on there ready to go for you, so can get yourselves involved in that one. But for now, it's the TCRs at Donny, and we can bring you up the grid. This is how they're going to turn out. Callum Regarton is in pole position with Arthur Ferdel in 2nd, Dan Mould 3rd, Adam Wright 4th, Mikael Lees 5th, Jono Johnson 6th, Gary Craig 7th, Gavin Gardner 8th, Lee Bowden 9th, Fraser Elphick 10th, Jamie Dory 11th, and then Adam Dalmont down in 12th. Alan McCain in 13th, Jay Corley in 14th. There, Michael Hollingwood 15th, Kev Eilert 16th, Tom Woodcock 17th, Stephen Fry 18th, Dan Lewis 19th, Jess Rakowski 20th, Tony Walker 21st, Ryan Taylor 22nd, Josh Boot 23rd, and Chris Barnes is 24th. And then Armour Brusso, Miles Owens, Jonathan Cook, and Robert Williams rounds out the grid here as well. So here we go. Race 1 is going to be up and running. We're going to be underway very, very shortly as we start off with the first 20-minute heat. No reverse grid. That is set. The grid is set by Quali, and this is it. Buckle up, guys. Sit back, get your drinks, and be ready for some epic TCR action from Donington here as well. Don't forget, we're going right left at turn 9 and 10. We're not including the Melbourne hairpin. We are going on to the short track that gates, well, I say short track, Zach, that we're not going left, right, and sticking in a hairpin, I suppose.
Well, there's 2 hairpins. There's Melbourne and then there's Goddard's. But yeah, it's just, we do the... to be fair, left or right or right or left doesn't really matter. They're both sort of similar speed chicanes. But yeah, we cut out a couple of corners, shave off maybe 15 seconds. It's the shorter circuit, not necessarily the short circuit. Well, I guess both circuits are quite short. But yeah, a decent circuit. I do prefer the other one, but that doesn't take anything away from the fact that this is a fantastic circuit. These guys are going to prove it over the course of the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, Dan Lewis' computer's just crashed, unfortunately. 5 lates, and we are up and running. And it is Callum Regarton who has taken the whole shot. Coming down now into Redgate, that right-hander, turn 1. Arthur Ferdle's going to try and slip up the inside here. CRG tries to cover him off and manages to hold on to that position. Further back, we've got Adam Wright, Dan Mould, Arthur Ferdle battling it out. Gary Craig, Gavin Gardner are all mixing it up as well. This is getting very, very close on the way down. In the it's Tom Woodcock, Michael Hollingworth and Jay Corley. There, Corley slipped down 1 position, but out in front at the moment is CRG. He has done an absolute incredible job. He's done what he needed to do. He got away at the start, Zach, and he's opened up nearly half a second already.
Yeah, beautiful job from Callum Regarton, doing exactly what he needs to do in the early stages of this race. No changes amongst the top 5. They've all stayed exactly where they qualified. You have to go down to Gary Craig, of course, technically the reigning champion coming into this season, as he won Season 6 of the SRL TCRs. And, well, he's coming in here trying to prove himself against some of the best. He's definitely got a tough job ahead of him. He's up into 6th place. A couple more changes as well. Josh Boot, most notably, up 6 places into 17th in the AMS. We round off lap number 1. It's Callum Regarton from Arthur Ferdle, Dan Mould in 3rd place, and they are all nose to tail. I'd say for these guys in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th, do not let Callum Regarton build a gap.
No, you've got to stay with him. Gardner's trying to get onto the back of Johnson here. Josh Boot has had a little bit of a moment, and so has Adam Dalmont. Both of them managed to survive there. Fraser Elphick and Dory are battling it out. They're running side by side. Dory in the 01 free car on that, well, what is technically going to be the inside as they come rushing down out of turn 2, down through Crane as they go. Is he going to be able to hold that in line for the old hairpin? He does hold it for the old hairpin. Side by side in the back round here with Jay Corley, Stephen Fry and Josh Boot. They're all mixing it up here as well. This is basically 3rd. Oh, there's a spinner at the back.
Oh, he's off.
Is off. That is Tony Walker. Unfortunately for Tony Walker, he has gone round here as well, and it is getting very, very close in that mid-pack with everybody from the AMS there. Tom Woodcock mixing in with Adam Dalmont, Jay Corley and Josh Boot and Stephen Fry. And then up front, we've got Arthur Ferdle and Dan Mould here forever close together. Don't forget, these guys are in... I'm going to say the same team, the SRL, but they're in just different versions, SRL Sapphire and SRL Emerald.
Yeah, which is nice. Obviously different gemstones. It's nice to see. And obviously their liveries reflect that, which, again, nice touch. The Sapphire being more blue, and then obviously the Emerald being more green. Fantastic touch. Cheers, guys. Love that. And now, let's hope if their brilliant liveries can reflect some brilliant racecraft. It's Arthur Ferdle, it's Dan Mould. You would expect that side by side as they run their way downhill. Jono Johnson versus Gary Craig. Inside line, of course, for Gary Craig. He tries to find his way past, no way through into the old hairpin. Jono Johnson able to hang on. Gary Craig's got to be very, very careful because he's got Gavin Gardner just in behind as they run their way under the Donington Park sponsor board and now in towards Coppice and McLean. It's going to be Gary Craig that's got the inside line under brakes. Jono Johnson not really got much of an answer for it. He is going to try and go the long way round. Beautiful racing, and look at Gardner. He might try and follow the reigning champ through. Yeah,
he's got the gap. He's opened it up here as well as Gary Craig, and at the end of the day, Gardner's trying to just keep up their inside line. They're going to run too wide down into the chicane. What does Gardner do down now? Who does he push along? Does he push along Johnson? Does he push along Craig? They're going to try side by side into the hairpin. This is the first ones of the race to run side by side. Johnson's opened up the steering a little bit. Craig runs out of room. He's got nowhere to go. Bowden's in the background. They're too wide, too deep at the moment. You can see the trainer cars coming in now. Gavin Gardner could be under attack from Bowden, as Bowden looks like he's going to try and sneak up the inside as these guys battle on here as well. So this is about the 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th at the moment. And then we've still got Adam Dalmont trying to scrap away with Mikael Lees here. And they pass Tom Woodcock. Tom Woodcock has got Jay Corley trying to chase him down in the AMS, with Chris Barnes in that Triple P trying to chase down Kev Eilert as well. So there's battles all the way through the field, including Ferdle and Mould. I think they've probably communicated to say, let's not race each other. Let's get a hold of Callum Regarton where we can.
Yeah, that is the better option, I think, because, again, if there's one driver on this field you do not want to let get away, it is Callum Regarton. And, of course, he wasn't there at the media day. He literally signed up today, and, well, with short notice, he's completely come into this absolutely flying. You can see in the background, Jono Johnson, Gary Craig continuing to stop places. Johnson losing a couple of places, 3 to be exact, to Gardner and Bowden. I think maybe picking up a slowdown on his way.
Yeah, slow down on that one. It must have been coming out of Coppice. He got that slowdown. Easily done, mind you, because if you just take a little bit of more of the curb on the inside than you should do, you do get a nice little slowdown for your troubles. We've got Michael Hollingworth battling away with Woodcock in the arms at the moment. This is the battle for down in third, fourth and fifth overall. Chris Barnes is mixing it up. Rakowski's trying to get onto the back. She's 2.2 seconds back at the moment, but we've got Barnes, Woodcock, Eilert and Hollingworth doing some great scrapping here further down for the podium places in the arms as well. And that is one thing we're emphasising. That is one thing we said, Zach. Racing all the way through, doesn't matter if you're pro and arms, there's always somebody to scrap with.
Yeah, and that's great because it always gives each individual driver their own aspirations to aim for and always their own rival to spark something with. You're never just cruising at the back by yourself unless you've had a really poor race. You know, if you're chilling and you're doing consistent lap times, there's someone bound to be close to you, someone you can push for, someone that's going to make you rise to that occasion to improve. So you're constantly improving, you're constantly learning, you're constantly racing, and you're always having a fun time out on track. And you can see Chris Barnes is, of course, on the back of Tom Woodcock, who's going to force him onto the grass, gives him a good old squeeze, but the Audi RS3 sends the move into the chicane. Outside line, of course, for Woodcock. He's going to send the move back to the inside. Still side by side with Chris Barnes, who's forced onto the grass. Brilliant defence from Woodcock there, right on the limit, but not a millimetre over.
Yeah, Alfik also here has got Delmont behind him, and I've seen Delmont in the Clios. He is incredibly quick there. Armand Brusso has had his own little moment here. What has Armand been up to? And this is down in the old hairpin. He didn't catch that. He's on the grass there, unfortunately, for Armand Brusso. And around he is going to go there as well. So unfortunately for Brusso, in the old hairpin, and puts it onto the side of the grass there as well. Looks like Delmont's just had a moment on the grass, coming over under Starkeys and off round turn 6. And now he's lost a place to Mikael Lees. But Tom Woodcock, Chris Barnes, still battling away here, down in this podium. They're 5th and 4th at the moment, trying to get onto the back of Eilert, who's just gone through there. So there's a great scrap in here with these arms as well. And they're doing an incredible job. We'll stay on board with Barnes as he's got up right behind Woodcock at the moment. Triple P versus JAASR. Here we go. Is he? Ooh, I thought he was going to have a go there, Zach. I'm not going to lie.
He thought about it, you could tell. He had a bit of a look, but in the end decided to back out of it. Probably the wiser of the two decisions, because into that chicane, not really much that you can do. It is quite fast-paced, and unless you're already significantly alongside, chances are you're probably not going to be given much room either. So fortunately, thinking better of it in the end. Back to the front, of course, it's still Callum Regarten from Thurtle and Mould. Have to say, as we sort of approach that halfway mark, when we get to 10 minutes through, Dan Mould and Arthur Thurtle, of course, fantastic teammates. They must be communicating really well together. But it gets to a point, you know, in Dan Mould's position, a driver as quick as he is, if Arthur Thurtle doesn't hurry up and put some pressure on Reed, it'll get to a point where Dan Mould says, you know what, mate, no, not your turn anymore. I'm getting in front and I'm seizing control.
The problem is for Dan Mould is this gentleman is closing. Adam Wright here is closing on this front three, so they've got to be a little bit more careful. Dory, Johnson, Bowden and Gardner are also fighting it out here as well for 7th, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th. With Dory in the sort of 9th place. He's got about a 1.8 second gap to Fraser Elphick behind, who has got Adam Delmont, Mikael Lees, Jay Corley, Stephen Fry, Michael Hollingworth. Apologies there, Michael Worth. You do watch his back. So, you know, they've got to be careful of what they've got in front of them, as much as they probably don't want to be trying to make the move, because, you know, the ideal scenario, Johnson's probably going as fast as Dory, Gardner's going as fast as Craig, and Bowden's going as fast as all of them. They've got to be careful of the closing pack behind. Dan Mould is in that same situation here with Wright. He's got Wright closing at the moment, so he's got to be careful of Wright as well here, Zach. So he's got to try and make a decision. Go past Thurtle or just give him a nudge and try and help him along, because at the moment, for Dan Mould, he's got Wright closing up behind him and he's closing quite quickly.
Yeah. He's got to be careful. So, especially in such a high-intensity version of racing as well, you've got not a moment to breathe. And it means that you've got to be delivering your best lap after lap. You don't have a chance to just chill for a second and recuperate and recharge your batteries. There's none of that. It is so intense, lap after lap. Each and every single apex you hit has to be perfect. Each and every decision you make has to be perfect, because if it isn't, you've got 5 cars behind you waiting for their turn in front. So again, making sure you're picking the right moves, choosing the right gaps, positioning your car in the best places, carrying the right amount of speed through every corner, that is vital, especially as we took our way into the second half of this race, where positions really start to matter much. I'll be honest, I'm surprised we haven't seen any changes amongst the top 4. I suppose they're close, but they're still spaced out enough that no one can really make much of an impact. I'm sure in the next 3, 4, 5 minutes, that's all going to change.
Yeah, definitely. And Jono Johnson has gone and done something with himself here as well. It looks like he's got another slowdown. What did Johnson actually do? Well, okay. Not sure on that one. Whatever it is for Jono Johnson, he's lost a lot of places and now is sitting down in 23rd place. So Jono Johnson now, unfortunately, he's looking like he's out with Cook as well. It looks like Jonathan Cook from Performance is out here currently at the moment. What did you get up to, young man, as I try and find what happened to John? I can't actually see anything that happened to Cook. Not gonna lie. Strange. Ryan Taylor's had a moment as well here. So Taylor in the Audi. Oh, just goes straight on, hits the curb. Oh, almost saved it there as well. And unfortunately for Ryan Taylor, that gentleman in front, which I believe it wasn't Tony Walker, it was one of the JSR boys, I think it might have been Woodcock, come and gave him a little nudge there, and I don't know if Woodcock really had anywhere to go. Taylor's squirming across. Woodcock's, he's tried, hasn't he? He's tried to go past, but unfortunately for Taylor, he was just kind of there, and Woodcock had nowhere to go out that last hairpin. Last chicane, sorry.
Yeah. Again, in those positions, it is difficult. I suppose it's the natural running order of things in touring cars, but you live, you learn, press on from it, and hope that it doesn't really happen again. And you know, the thing about this format of racing is the reverse grid race, so you've always got a chance to succeed. And again, because you get more points for the reverse grid race, you're enticed to succeed in that second race. It promotes racing, it forces drivers to take initiative and fight their way through. So always something to be motivated for, whether it's points in race 1 or even more points in race 2. So I'm sure he's not going to be too disheartened by it, because there's still plenty of opportunities to do a good job, and still running fairly well in his respective class. Also, Adam Delmont still under a little bit of pressure from the Scotsman of Fraser Elphick, just in behind in P10. Who is closing down ever so slightly, so I'd say Delmont hasn't really got an easy running of things. Talking of easy running, I think it's Jay Corley, unfortunately, losing the AM lead to the Scotsman of Hollingworth. Yeah,
he is at the moment, and Kev Eilets tucked in, coming up behind him as well. Corley's got to have a go here if he's got to try and stay there. We did lose John O'Cook, just retired from the race, wasn't enjoying it, extremely uncompetitive, wasn't helping my mood, so a bad day for Cook there. Hopefully he'll come back. I know it's not his car choice. It's really weird actually. He loves the Honda and he's stuck with the Honda and he wanted to go with the Honda, and we were talking about the Elantra earlier on, and I said to him, look, you've still got time, just change over to the Elantra, get it, pick the car that you're comfortable in. I love the Honda, he says. Well, he then messaged me saying I should have listened to you. So, not to say I told you so, Mr. Cook, but I told you so. But there we go. Now, hopefully, he'll take a swap a car over, which does give him a quali ban for the next race with the change of car, of course. And then he'll be back happy in the Elantra, Mr. Cook, once more next week. So let's see how it goes here. These front three. Where do we go with Mould here at the moment? Mould's just set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:12.03, right? He's pulled out 0.22 tenths over Callum Reed-Garton. Fertel's also closed up, but he's never got below 3 tenths currently. He's still at that 4-tenth mark. Would you now, with 5 minutes remaining for Mould, would you turn around and say, shift it, son, my turn?
Yep, 100%. He's got to take control. He is the quicker of the two cars. Yeah, again, not to just put Arthur Thurtle down or anything, but I would say Dan Mould is probably the better driver in this situation to lead the charge. Arthur Thurtle, fantastic driver. He knows how to overtake. Unfortunately, I don't quite think he's matched to Callum Regarten. And again, Dan Mould, he's got to be confident in himself and his own ability. It gets to a point, especially when time ticks down. That clock's not going to tick any slower, right? That lap count is not going to go up. It's going to come down. That checker flag will come at some point. Does Dan Mould want to sit behind and play the team game and get up for third? Or does he want to move his way into second and push for the lead? If I was Dan Mould, I definitely know what choice I would be making. I do wish I was Dan Mould. Well, in terms of driving capability, of course, he's a very quick driver. Through coppice and running a little bit wide, but still quick, still all over the back of his teammate. And if he can find a move, and if Arthur Thurtle's on board with it because they don't want to spend too much time fighting for second, Dan Mould, just go for it. At least have a chance. Worst case scenario, if he does want to play the team game, if he does fail, he can give the place back to Arthur Thurtle. But at least try, because Arthur Thurtle can sit behind Dan Mould, and if a space opens up, they can both benefit from it.
I'm wondering though, right, even though they are in Sapphire and Emerald, obviously Mould in the Emerald, their team points go obviously offset against each other, right? So you're in the team fight, but you are in separate teams. Will Thurtle want Mould in front of him for that team game? Will he want him to go through because the team points that he would score would go to Dan Mould? Yeah, they're in SRL and we know that, but they're in separate entities within SRL. So from Thurtle's point of view, he doesn't want to let Mould through. From Mould's point of view, he doesn't want to dive after Thurtle and take out what is potentially his teammate. But currently, they are still separate teams, aren't they? Sapphire and Emerald. Mould wants to score points for Emerald. Thurtle wants to score points for Sapphire. So Mould's got to make a choice with 3 minutes remaining.
Yeah, I think he's been so cautious because of the fear of Callum Regarten getting away. But it's now or never. If he wants a reasonable shot at getting the lead, he needs to go now. Oh, he's got to slow down. Oh my goodness me, that has completely changed the tide of this race, because 3 minutes left to go and Callum Regarten now has got a lot of work to do.
He definitely has, and I don't think he's going to get there. 1 second back at the moment, and now Thurtle and Mould are fighting it out for that lead of the race. CRG looked like he got a slowdown out of that last chicane, and unfortunately for CRG, it's now cost him because he has dropped down the order. We don't only have this battle, we've got a battle for the AM as well, with Hollingworth, Corley and Steve Fry, who's mixing it up down at that end of the grid as well. And you can see Fry there with Hollingworth in front. There's Corley just behind, so Corley's got to try and get onto the back of Fry and allow Fry to try and make that move over Hollingworth to slow Hollingworth down. So there's battles for both class leads here at the moment, and these, to be honest with you, I think Zach have kept it amazingly clean. Dan Mould sticks his nose out, almost wanting to have a go on Thurtle. 1:55 on the clock. We're only going to get one and one more here, Zach. Mould's got to make a choice.
Yeah, it's now or never again. Of course, he's got one more lap maybe to think about it, but with Callum Regarten closing the gap, he's not going to be too interested in sitting around waiting either. So Dan Mould, if he wants to win this race, he needs to go now. Of course, it's the penultimate lap, a little bit of time, but each corner that goes past is one opportunity less. He needs to get in the slipstream, and he needs to take charge and win this race. As I say, Callum Regarten, if he sees a gap, he's going to go for it. He knows what's at stake here. He's led this race from start to finish, well, from start till 17 minutes in. One small mistake has put him into third place. He is not going to be a happy bunny, and he is not going to be someone you want to mess with. So Dan Mould, get the car in between you and him and start the season off with a win.
Yeah, he's definitely trying. He's definitely having a go. Meanwhile, down in the AMS, we've got Kev Eilert closing on with the back of the leaders there of the AMS with Corley, Fry and Hollingworth. Fry's just gone off. Is that going to release Corley to have a go at Hollingworth in this AM fight here, or is Hollingworth going to make the most of this and clear them and open up a gap as well? The leaders are coming round to start that final lap, but at the moment Corley's trying to say to Fry, let me get him, he is in my class, you're not, let me have a go at Hollingworth here for Jay Corley. But the leaders are coming round to start the final lap of the race here. It's do or die for Dan Mould now. He's got to make a choice. Go, stay, protect that place. Either or, both of these cars are going to be behind that white Elantra of CRG for race 2. So they've got to think about what they're going to do.
Yeah, of course. I mean, they've been given this situation. If they're going to start behind Callum Regarten in race 2, they might as well finish ahead of him in race 1. They run their way through the old hairpin for the final time. Arthur Thurtle, again, he's been doing a fantastic job at keeping these two behind for the situation he's been given. But Dan Mould, it's well, we said that it's now or never 3 laps to go. Now we really mean it. He's practically pushing the race leader through, going through McLean's now up the hill towards Coppice. Inside line for Arthur Thurtle. He's going to defend it. Dan Mould tries to go the long way round. Of course, it's the very, very long way round. CRG in the background as well. It will eventually give Dan Mould the outside going through the chicane. It's going to take a whole lot of bravery for him to win this race.
Here we go. They're going to be side by side in that last chicane now. Who's going to keep at this? Who's going to keep it here? Who's going to get the room? Mould's on the inside. There's slight little bit of door rubbing, but here comes CRG. Down to the line we go. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Mould? Is it going to be CRG? Is it Foul? Oh, Mould falls. CRG. Oh, why I do that? What's going on down in the AMS? Michael Hollingworth is managing to hold on here from Quali. Quali's going to have a run as well. Is Quali going to be able to close up? I think Hollingworth's going to hold this. But that, wow. That is why we do TCRs. An incredible end to that race there, Zach.
Oh, again, it took a while for things to get going because, you know, the top 3 was sort of just at a stalemate, not really doing much. And then final lap, stakes are high, things matter now, and they all kicked it into overdrive. Dan Mould, what a move. Around the outside going through Coppice, and then around the outside again going into the chicane. That is brilliant. Callum Regarten nearly getting himself ahead of Arthur Thurtle right at the end. Well defended, well raced from all 3 of them. That is the racing we like to see. Now we flip them on their head and we go again for race 2.
We're doing now with a top 15, but it is Dan Mould, your winner, with Arthur Thurtle in 2nd, Callum Regarten in 3rd, Adam Wright 4th, Gary Craig 5th, Gavin Gardner 6th, Lee Bowden 7th, Adam Delmont 8th, Jamie Dorey 9th, Fraser Elphick 10th, and Mikael Lees 11th. Then in the AMS, it's Michael Hollingworth and Jay Corley. Your 1-2 with Stephen Fry in the middle, with Kev Eilert rounding out the final podium places. Chris Barnes, Jess Rakowski below that in 16th and 17th. Tom Woodcock 18th, Tony Walker 19th, Rob Williams is 20th there as well. So a great run from Williams here as well. A stellar job from him. He come from last, I believe. Ryan Taylor 21st, Josh Boot 22nd, Dan Lewis obviously had the computer crash. Armin Brusso there as well at his own little moment. Jono Johnson, not sure what happened to Jono, he's just kind of stopped. John Cook obviously is in chat there as well with Alan McCain, not sure what happened to him, and then Miles Owens as well. So yeah, some mysterious endings to some of the drivers towards the back end there as well, but some great racing from the guys up the front in both Pro and AMS.
Yeah, up and down the field, fantastic racing, exactly what we expected. A little bit more tame relative to what we saw a week ago in Silverstone, but I think a little bit less reliant on the slipstream, plus the fact it's all for points. You know, you can give them, you know, that factor of maybe being a little bit more cautious, a little bit more safe. But you saw there, final lap, final opportunities. They all went for it. They didn't bat an eyelid whatsoever. They just knew that was what they had to do if they wanted to win. It's sink or it's swim. It's kill or be killed. It's hunt or be hunted when it comes to touring cars. And that's exactly what we saw there. Unfortunate for Arthur Thurtle because, again, you could argue that he deserved to win that race because of, you know, he was the one leading the train for so long. Well, you know, leading the fight in second, then capitalised off CRG's mistake, then led the fight from then on. But unfortunately, Dan Mould was able to mug him around the outside, which was a brilliant move. Callum Regarten then got so close to sealing it right at the line. Arguably, all 3 of them deserved to win that race. Unfortunately, only one of them could. And that's what I love, is racing where you can make arguments for multiple different drivers to win because, you know, it just means that there's always going to be some form of unpredictability. There's always going to be a surprise. You always know that there's competitiveness around the corner. And now we're going to get thrown a surprise here for race 2 because, again, the reverse grid format, more points on offer. Therefore, in theory, should be a little bit more pressure onto the drivers and a bit more incentive to go for the moves.
Yeah, definitely on that one. Fraser Garrity, wow, what a finish. Great finish, Cook. Risky moves there for John Brown. Paula May, great stuff. And then Mr. John Brown there. Did the session work correctly? I'm going to presume so because it hasn't kicked us out yet as well. But John is down in Cornwall at the moment in a static caravan. So... I guess, actually, I can tell you now, the Wi-Fi that they give you on site is shocking. And you can't get a signal anywhere unless you're sat in the actual clubhouse playing bingo. So I don't know if you could take a portable monitor and a G920 and strap it to the desk while your missus is playing bingo there, John, and you could have got in the race. But I can tell you now, the Wi-Fi, yeah, forget about it. So I'm fully aware on that one. Whereabouts in Cornwall are you, John? You're not too far from me. You know what I mean? I'm looking for something to do tomorrow, mate. I'll pop down and say hello. Hello, mate. You know what I mean? Going great Crash's holiday. I'm sure his wife will love that. Right, minute left to warm up here, Zach. Top 15 reverse. Now, we didn't do our commentator pick for race 1, partly because I don't know why we didn't. We forgot. We forgot and we talked for 9 minutes. Race 2, top 15 reverse. Who are you going to go for?
Oh, do you know, I'm going with Callum Garton for race 2, for the pros. And then for the AMs, let's go with Jess Rakowski, actually. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
why not?
I'm going to go with, in the AMs, I'm going to go with Quali. Right.
Okay.
And in the pros, I reckon Mould's going to come through and take this one. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. There is Adam Wright in front and Cook and Gardner and Delmont. Oh, Delmont. Oh, Delmont. I think I forget the strong field we've got, because he's got Gary Craig as well. He's not a champion for no reason. Oh.
That's true.
No, for this week, I'm going to leave it. I think I'm going to leave it as it is for a minute on that one. So let's see now as well. Mother's Ivy's Bay near Padstow. Oh, okay. Never heard of that one. That's new to me, but let's wait for the grid to flip on its head. And here we go, the grid for race 2. Kev Eilert is in first with Stephen Fry second, Jay Corley third, and Michael Hollingworth in fourth. Mikael Lees fifth, Fraser Elphick sixth, Jamie Dorey seventh, and Adam Delmont in eighth. On row 5, you've got Lee Bowden, Gavin Gardner. Row 6, Gary Craig and Adam Wright. And then beyond that, you've got Callum Regarton, Arthur Ferdle and Dan Mould. Chris Barnes, Jess Rakowski, Tom Woodcock, Tony Walker, Rob Williams, Ryan Taylor, Josh Boot, Dan Lewis and Armand Brusso. Jono Johnson, not sure if he's going to make it. Neither, obviously we know about John Cook's not. Alan McCain and Miles Owens I don't think are going to make it either for race 2. But at the moment, for Kev Eilert, sitting on pole position with all of these looming pros behind him here, Zach, he's going to be, well, sweating a little bit.
A little bit, probably a little bit under pressure, but I suppose the longer he keeps that lead, the more pros then overtake Corley and Hollingworth, and therefore more places between him and the rest of his pack. So I think he's going to hopefully rise to the occasion.
Right, here we go. Race 2 is up and running. Barney's waving. We're off once more here as they all come rushing down to turn 1. Look at the rush of TCRs here. Jay Corley's having a go at Kev Eilert early. He wants to get past Kev Eilert for the lead of the AM as well. CRG has made a move past Adam Wright. There's somebody off the side of the circuit. That is Adam Wright off the side of the circuit. Arthur Ferdle trying to track his way through. He's up 2 at the moment as well. Down Mould up 1. There's an incident there. Who's on the grass? Lee Bowden. He ain't going to be able to stop that. He's not going to be able to.
Oh, no, it's bowling. No. Oh, he's done it.
No, right in front of Mould, I believe. He didn't have a choice. He couldn't get through. No.
Oh, there's more.
Josh Boot. And poor old Bowden was just out of control as Fraser Elphick and Jamie Dorey battle there, Zach. Bowden couldn't do nothing. I'm sorry, I can't. You can't do nothing about that. He was sideways on the grass. He tried and he tried and he tried. He was never going to stop that car.
It's one of those where you close your eyes, you clench your bum, and you just hope that things are going to go right for you. Fortunately, he was actually able to stop any contact. There was a bit of a slowdown with people, slamming on the brakes, understandably so, but he was still able to continue on in this race. bit of a scary moment, of course. Couple of incidents as well, of course, to kickstart this. We saw Josh Boot go off, Dan Mould getting slowed down side by side here as a couple of the faster drivers tried to pick their way through all the carnage. A lot of carnage to talk about in that opening lap, but hopefully once it settles down, once the dust settles, we can see some more fantastic racing action. You can see a couple of cars wide, nearly 3 wide going through the crane of curves. Absolute insanity in the opening moments, and drivers just trying to passively pick their way through each and every single of the gaps that they can find.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not sure what happened to Steve Fry. I think he might have got a slowdown there because he did end up losing a bunch of positions. He's down 6 at the moment from the SRL Ruby. Then you've got Adam Dalmont, Gary Craig, Fraser Elphick, Jamie Dory, Mikael Lees. But Kev Eilert has opened it up nearly 7 tenths over Jay Corley. He's nearly got a second on Mikael Lees, Jamie Dory and Fraser Elphick here. And the battle is here. This is it. This is the clump of the faster drivers we've got on our screen at the moment. Starting off with Jamie Dory, while Elphick, Eilert, Corley and Lees do start opening up gaps. And this could be great. And we could see our first AM overall winner here.
Let's not jump the gun too quickly. I think there was a good chance of it though. It's probably one of the best chances we're going to see. Does depend how hard these two fight. Up and under for Jay Corley. Might see him alongside as they run their way in towards Hollywood. Does he get given the space from Kev Eilert? I think he does actually. Jay Corley forces the initiative and forces Eilert offline through the crane of curves. This could be a massive setup from Jay Corley into the old hairpin, and you can see he's on a slightly better line, hits a slightly better apex, puts his foot down slightly earlier, and now has the run as they climb up in towards McLean's. Has he got any way through? Forced to go defensive is Eilert. They've got to be careful of Mikael Lees and Jamie Dory in the background as well if they still want to fight for this overall win. The up and under, he thought about it. Oh my word, and now they're in trouble.
Now they are, here they come. Looks like Dan Mould's been off the side of the circuit as well. And now Corley has lost that place to Lees. He has lost that place to Dory. I'm expecting Elphick to come through as well. I think that's smart driving from Corley there. I think he allowed the 2 faster guys to go through. And this is what happened to Dan Mould. He went off track. He did have his own little moment. They're 3 wide in the background with Elphick, Corley and Gary Craig and Fry. Oh, look at this. This can only go wrong. They're all coming down towards us. They are 3 wide. And Corley's being pushed. He's trying to get out the way. Corley's stuck between a rock and a hard place. Gary Craig's going to try and run around the outside of it now as well. There's just nowhere for these to go. Look at the cars, Zach. There's nowhere for them to go.
Absolutely nowhere. It's London at rush hour. We're looking at this. Cars absolutely everywhere. Oh my word. Callum Reid Garton darting his way to the inside of Elphick, moves his way into 8th place. I think that was more a reactionary move than anything. Chris Barnes gets tagged. Oh, and he moves his way across. I think that might have been Woodcock, and he's lost his bonnet. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. What has happened there? And I think just maybe trying to take the track away too quickly, tagging his rear left, and around he went.
Yeah, that was with Stephen Fry, I believe. We've got Woodcock mixing it up here as well. Fertle's in the middle with Corley. I do love Jay Corley, but he has tried to stay out of the way as best as he possibly can here. He knows they're coming. CRG is coming with Arthur Fertle, and he's going on to the back of Gary Craig very, very quickly. For Corley's point of view now, I wouldn't be running CRG too wide into there because it's not going to work out for one of you. And it did work out for both of you in the end because you both managed to sort it out correctly. Fry's still in this pack as well. He's having a go with Woodcock from the AMS. Lee Bowden back down after his first lap incident where he was sideways coming on the old hairpin on the grass there. There was nothing for Bowden to do. I can't see anybody putting in anything about that because there was just nowhere for him to go on that one. It's very tight through this mid-pack at the moment with 14 minutes remaining.
And that's exactly what we've come to expect when it comes to these guys in the touring cars. Still plenty of action left to unpack and plenty of overtakes yet to come. Hopefully they can keep it at the barrier and keep it off the grass. That would be ideal, but with how hard these guys are pushing, I wouldn't put too much money on the fact they're going to keep it all in the grey stuff. Stephen Fry trying to move his way into the top 10 overall. He's got, of course, the AM driver of Tom Woodcock ahead of him. A worse line from Woodcock, but not enough space to allow Stephen Fry to find a way past. He's got a bit of a better run. If I was Woodcock, I probably would let him through. Stephen Fry, it's a matter of if, not a matter of when. He's going defensive in all fairness. No incentive really for him to do that. He's not going to be scoring more points if he stays ahead. I really can't see why, unless he's just been given a slowdown or wanted to wait for a cleaner opportunity.
He's in the pits.
No, that's a slowdown. Oh, pit lane. fuel, maybe? Has he not put enough fuel in?
I don't know on that one, but Chris Barnes is sat in there with him so they can have a cup of tea in the office. Kev Eilert has now got the ever-looming Jamie Dory behind him here as well. So Kev Eilert and Jamie Dory going to be mixing it up at the front very, very shortly. Eilert's got a choice to make here, Zach. Either stay in front of the pros, because he has got 7 places between him and Quali, or let him through, stay with him. But the problem is he's got Mikael Lees and Adam Dalmont coming. So the choices are... Well, it's that saying, isn't it? Where you're stuck between a rock and a hard place here for Eilert. What would you do?
I mean, yeah, I'd probably just break down and go into the pit lane and cry by being overwhelmed from what's going on around me. Touring cars, it's so intense that it's such a mental strain that there's not really much you can do, because there's so many different possibilities that can happen. There are so many different courses of outcome, as that's one of them. A bit of a mistake potentially from Kev Eilert could see Jamie Dory find himself alongside up into the race lead, of course. Outside line going in towards Redgate corner. They're 2 wide, 3 deep, side by side in the background, as well as Delmont tries to move his way past Mikael Lees. It's a pinch point at the apex, and oh well, talk about stuck between a rock and a hard place. These guys are, well, just like peas in a pod, these guys. There's not a better analogy to use. They're just, yeah, it's just out and out racing.
Yeah, there definitely is there. Fertel and Gary Craig. Craig nearly went up the inside of Lees there, nearly completely lost its nose and took Mikael Lees for a ride at the same time here. The Veloster, the Honda, the Elantra, all battling out with an Audi currently as well. Eilert's off. Whoa, Eilert's off. What's this on his own? Oh. I'm
Ouch.
Not sure where... Sure that might get looked at there as Fertel goes up the inside of Gary Craig. CRG makes his way round him as well. CRG's on the right in the white, of course. Gary Craig's in that. Basically, the Veloster CRG's in the Elantra. They're going to run 2 wide down through Redgate at the moment. Here they go. Is this going to be all the way through? Gary Craig's got a tough season here, I think, as well. Oh, CRG, you nasty man, just took his nose clean off there. Here once more, Dan Lewis is having a battle with Josh Brute down in the arms. I'm sorry they're coming away from the front here, but these guys are literally about a tenth between them at the moment. Mold's up in the front. He's just made a move past Ryan Taylor, so he's gone through currently at the moment, while Dan Lewis is still battling away with Josh Boot. But there's battles all the way through here, Zach. Who do we focus on? Because the leaders are battled, the arms are battling, the back's battling. It's just all over the place.
I suppose we've got to take it as the priorities, you know. Of course, that lead fight looking very interesting, and it's so hard to predict because all of these gaps are close. That doesn't necessarily mean they're fighting as such. So it's also about predicting where and when drivers are going to go for moves. I mean, we could focus on close fights all we like, but it could be for the majority of race 1 like it was at the front, them just being sat half a second away, not really doing much, or we could have fights, you know, a little bit further down that are, you know, crazy. So yeah, I do envy the fact that you are fighting as hard as you can, all on the slip road out of the pit lane exit, having to stop. That might have been Kev Eilert rejoining the track, and wow, he's just had to sit there.
Yeah. But from our point of view, though, that he did the right thing, right? Because as we know in officials, there's people who just want to drive straight out into that mid-pack and would have ended up getting into a bit of a drama about it all. Do you know what I mean? But from Eilert's point of view, he isn't silly. He isn't stupid. He's driven TCRs before. He knows what he's doing. Just like Jamie Dory, Adam Dalmont, Mikael Lees, Arthur Fertel and CRG with Gary Craig. Gary Craig, of course, is a champion. He is a champion in SRL Season 6. He's come over to JPB with the league, and he's now got to try and defend it against what I can only say, choose your words, not a different, I want to say different caliber of drivers, but that isn't any disrespect to anybody in the SRL. I mean, different types of drivers from other communities that we didn't see in the SRL. That might be the easiest way to say it.
I suppose, yeah. I mean, we've retained a lot of the SRL guys as Arthur Fertel looks to the outside and Mikael Lees, not quite a way through for him there at Redgate. Might try and get the up and under, but unfortunately goes up the curb, which halts his run ever so slightly. I'd say we've retained a lot of the SRL guys, which has kept the caliber of drivers steady. And then we've got the additions of, say, the likes of Callum Regan as such, which has then risen the standard ever so slightly higher. I mean, Gary Craig, a phenomenal driver, he's still competing, but I think it's a good thing that we've got these other drivers in, because it's forcing people to rise to the occasion and improve. Similar to Arthur Thurtle trying to find a way past up onto the podium place. Mikael Lees gives them the squeeze as they rise up in towards Coppice, potentially going to go 3 wide. Callum Regan goes to the inside, and you can see that Arthur Thurtle all the long way around. Through the middle goes Mikael Lees, but the up and under, are they going to emerge onto the back straight 3 wide? I think they're a little bit clever than that, but Callum Regan searching for a way through.
Yeah, Arthur Thurtle, Mikael Lees is going to be running 2 wide here. Gary Craig and CRG going 2 wide as well. CRG's not backed out. He's forced Craig. Is he going to be able to get the run out of that final chicane now? He is. Here comes CRG over the back of Thurtle. Thurtle's got to hope that Lee stays in front of him. He's got to hope for that draft coming down into Redgate. We've seen CRG try and go around the outside here as well. Is Thurtle going to open up? CRG's loose. He's going to save it, but he's going to lose places. He's going to lose another one to Elphick here as well, and he has done. All that hard work from CRG has gone, but now it's down to Thurtle. Can he get onto the back of Mikael Lees here? He is there. Here we go. We're out of the old hairpin here, Zach, and now Thurtle's looking. Thurtle is like a praying, rabid lion trying to get back past on the injured Mikael Lees, as Lees got it a little bit wrong coming out the old hairpin, and Thurtle sweeps round the outside like he wasn't even there. Stellar job from Arthur Thurtle.
Beautiful stuff, showing his mettle, showing his caliber, and showing why this grid is so fantastic, and also showing why you shouldn't slouch on the SRL guys, and proving why they still do raise the caliber of this field. You can see side by side there, Gary Craig moving his way up the field. That's exactly what the reigning champion does best, is bit by bit capitalising on the mistakes of others. Callum Regan, however, is able to pick his way past because of a compromised run from Craig. He now has the outside line, however, which is going to be a bit of an issue for him, unfortunately. It is the long way round, but Redgate does entice that type of racing. Callum Regan thinking better of it, trying to get back underneath the reigning champion. Does exactly that. Got a nice bit of overlap into the Craner curves.
Yeah, he's going to have that inside for the old hairpin, of course, if Craig stays where he is. Craig's now coming through here. He's on that outside line. CRG's on the inside. Do you know what I love about what he just did there? He squeezed Gary Craig like an absolute orange in a juicer there. He pushed him as close to that line as he physically could and legally allow. And Craig had no choice. He fought twice. He turned around and said, do you know what? Go for it. You have it. I'll just follow you. Dory is now under attack from Dalmont as well. This is literally battles right the way down to the top 10 here. This is just incredible racing. And I tell you what, if this doesn't get you excited, well, what are you doing watching racing if this doesn't make you all sort of hot and sweaty? I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I know, it's such an adrenaline spike, and loving every moment of it. We've still got just over 5 minutes left to go. Adam Dalmont versus Jamie Dory, separated by less than a tenth and a half of a second. Into Redgate, a little bit twitchy on the steering, of course, not quite able to commit to a line because of how close he is. Hard to see the apexes and the reference points and things like that, so you can sort of let it slide ever so slightly, but gets a very good view as to who he's fighting. Jamie Dory putting his name on the rear end of his Hyundai, and Adam Dalmont knows full well what he's aiming for. He does not want to be seeing that name tag. He wants to be out in front and seeing that pink and green in his rear view mirror up in towards McLean's. And well, Dalmont might be searching for the inside line, not quite close enough on this occasion, but well, I'm sure this is a very short fuse, and in a couple of laps time it might be a massive show of fireworks.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a rub in there from Dalmont onto the back end of Dory. We've got Arthur Thurtle leading what can only be described as a train, with Lees, who's just not got the best exit out of Coppice there. And then we've got Adam Wright, who, mind you, is going against the AM leader at the moment, Jay Corley. So that's great for me on that one. Unfortunately, my pro pick, Dan Mould, is down in 14th at the moment. But Quali is leading the AMs. He's mixing it in with Stephen Fry. He's mixing it in with Adam Wright, and Michael Hollingworth has gone past. Now, this group here are still battling it out with Elphick, Craig, CRG, Miguel Lees, Gavin Gardner. But in the meantime, Fertel's trying to open up the wheels at the moment. He's got a second off there. I don't know if he's going to have enough to get Dalmont or Dory within the last 3.5 minutes here, Zach. I know Fertel is a machine. He's an alien, but he ain't Superman, mate. I can guarantee he's probably not got his red pants over his trousers.
I don't know. I can see it happening. It depends how hard Dory and Dalmont fight. Donington is a circuit that flows and really is about, you know, staying on the racing line, carrying the speed through, keeping the momentum up. If you compromise that, you can easily lose a second a lap. That's not going to take much for Fertel to close the gap. It just depends how hard Adam Dalmont and Jamie Dory begin to fight. As soon as Dory starts to go defensive, I could still see Arthur Fertel winning this race.
Well, let's see what happens as Dory and Dalmont, of course, Next Gen Racing Pink and Next Gen Racing White battle away here with Fertel in the background. CRG cleared Mikael Lees. We've got the battles below that of Gavin Gardner, Elphick, Corley and Wright battling out as well. There's some interesting battles towards the back end of the field with Ryan Taylor and Jess Rukowski having a little bit of a ta-ta-ta. They're about half a second back. That is for the final podium place in the AMS, of course. But at the moment, it's all about here, what this is going to happen. Now, for these guys, they want to be careful. Fertel, 1:12.28. Dalmont and Dory, 1:12.5. He pulled out 3 tenths. He's only got 2.5 minutes here, Zach. That's a lot to ask over the next couple of laps for Fertel to almost pull out a second a lap.
Going to be tricky. And then, of course, he's then got to do the hard work of getting past 2 cars, which is not easy, especially when it's a fight for the lead. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to push it that it's going to happen, but it still could. And I'm holding out hope that we could still have a 3-way fight for the lead like we had in race 1. But considering where Fertel's come from, same to a Callum Reed-Gart and carving their way through 11 places and 9 places respectfully. I mean, again, Jamie Dory and Adam Dalmont have gone up 6, which isn't by any means a bad shout either. But yeah, they've definitely had their hard work cut out for them over the course of race number 2. And well, it comes down to the final 2 laps of this race. Dory still able to hold clear of Dalmont. But the thing with Dory is, he's not been defending for the last couple of laps, which tells me he is secure in that lead. He is secure that Dalmont won't go for a move. And if I was Dalmont, I'd be seeing this as my perfect opportunity to spice things up a bit and catch Dory off guard.
Yeah, I'm wondering here. Dory's got a little bit of a loose exit here. Can cut Dalmont now. Is Dalmont going to run up the side? He's having a go. Almost there as well. Dory takes it back. Dalmont still tucked up right behind him, coming into McLean's at the moment. That right-hander, Dory and Dalmont, Fertel 1.4, and they're going to be going on to the final lap here. I just can't see it. I love Arthur. He knows that, but I just can't see him having that pace to make up that 1.4. But never say never, because these two could end up making, you know, fools of themselves and taking each other out. But at the moment, Dory and Dalmont, both from the next gen, white and pink, battling away nicely as they're just about to come over that final lap here as well. Fertel's 1.2. Oh, mate, for Arthur, this is it. It's do or die, isn't it? 1.2 he's got at the moment. He's just pulled out another 6 to 7 tenths over both of these guys. Oh, I wouldn't say never, Zach, but it's going to be close.
It is going to be close. I think if Fertel wants a chance, it's going to be Dalmont to go for a move now, ideally, or one of them to make a mistake, or both of them to crash off and hit the barrier. But look at how close Dalmont is, as again, it's now or never for him as well. He's got to spark a move for the lead, potentially into McLean to the final time. You can see Dory taking absolutely no chances, pushing to the outer limits of the circuit, not going defensive. I mean, moving a little bit under braking to cover off his inside. Dalmont looking, searching for a way past, but there's no way through, even into Coppice Corner. And I'd say for Arthur Fertel, that's a done deal. P3 is the best he's going to get, as close as he can possibly run as Dalmont. It's his final chance. He's got to be brave into the chicane.
Yeah, is he going to have a go, or are they going to go and take the points? It looks like Delmont sticks his nose out. It didn't put Dory off. He didn't try and make the move. He's going to look for the run down to the line once more. Delmont and Dory. It looks like it's going to be Dory's going to get it. He is going to hold it. And Arthur Fertile comes over the line as well. Fraser Elphick running side by side. It looks like Elphick's got a slowdown right at the end there. Corley's going to come over and take that and win over Michael Hollingworth. Great run from him. And here comes Dan Mould there as well with Lee Bowden. I feel sorry for Lee. There was just literally nothing he could do there. I want to pick up on Woodcock and Eilert. Woodcock just come in front of... Actually, Eilert got Woodcock teammates and then, well, just goes and ceremoniously bumps him off. So, you know... I don't really know what to say about that, apart from the fact that that was exciting. Alan McCain is out on track. That's great to see there as well. For Alan, I didn't even realise he was some laps down there, so I'm guessing Alan McCain may have had an issue. But overall, I think that standard of racing there was just been absolutely incredible. I'm not too sure on the Eilert incident. I'd have to have another look back and see where Eilert... what the situation was with Kev Eilert there, but it was an interesting one, wasn't it, to say the least. I'm wondering if it's here or is this when he comes out? No, this is where he comes out the pits here. It was a little bit further back as I scroll frantically to try and find where Kev Eilert had that incident. What lap was it on? Lap 7. Yeah, this is a tough one here, Zach. Was there contact with Delmont, or was he alongside? You know, let's slow it down and we'll jump on top of the chopper here and we'll see what we can see. We can see Delmont's there, right? He's sitting right behind him. Now, if we go on board with Delmont, that's Eilert in front. The gap's there, right? We can see. Mm-hmm. Has he gone far enough to the right to prevent that incident?
Well, if he had, there wouldn't have been a crash.
Well, this is also true. I don't get me wrong.
There wouldn't be contact if he was far enough right. I think it is just a slight miscalculation. It's a small thing, and unfortunately it's ended in a big crash. But when you're going that speed, that is literally all it takes. One small tap at the wrong angle, and unfortunately it ended Kev Eilert's race. Not saying it was intentional, not saying he isn't experienced for that. It's a small mistake to make, and unfortunately it's knocked Kev Eilert out the top 17.
Dory, Delmont and Thurtle was your pro winners, and there is the table in front of you at the moment. As you see, Jamie Dory took the win with Adam Delmont in second, Arthur Thurtle in third, Callum Regarten fourth, Mikael Lees fifth, Gary Craig sixth, Gavin Gardner seventh, Adam Wright eighth, Stephen Fry ninth, and Fraser Elphick in 10th place. In the AMS, it was Corley and Hollingworth who come through and took that 1-2. Dan Mould in 13th, Lee Bowden 14th. Rakowski got a podium in the AMS, swallowed up the third place there. Great racing from Jess Rakowski with Ryan Taylor and Josh Boot behind them. Dan Lewis in 18th, Tony Walker 19th, Rob Williams 20th, Kev Eilert 21st, Tom Woodcock 22nd, Armand Brusso 23rd, Alan McCain 24th. And Chris Barnes, we saw what happened to him. Not sure what happened to John O'Johnson there as well. And obviously we know about John Cook's worries over the car. But we are going to have a chat now with the gentleman in the AMS who took the second place in race 1. He then decides that that's not enough, and he goes out and takes the win in race 2. Let's give it up for Mr. Jay Corley here. Jay, welcome in, bud. How are you?
Oh, I'm feeling absolutely ecstatic after that second one. A bit nervy towards the end, but held on, and yeah, coming home with a win after a decent second place in the first race.
What was the thought process with everybody behind you, Jay? Because we saw you move over, you know, and then unfortunately you had like 8 cars trying to come through. You know, just how nervy was that to try and get out the way of that one? Because I think that's probably what your intentions were.
I was actually hoping to try and keep as close to Kev as possible, because Kev had an absolutely fantastic start, a really good, consistent first few laps, and I was a bit worried that if I let one through, then they would just all cascade through, which pretty much is what happened. So it's just a case of just don't panic and don't do anything stupid if they do end up getting a run on you.
Yeah, definitely on that one. Now, obviously, for you in the AMs, that's going to put you and Michael Hollingworth round about the same amount of points going in as well. We've only got a 6-race season here, Jay. What's the plans for you? You're in AMs, you're battling at the front of the AMs, which is great to see, and I love it, and, you know, I've got nothing but love for you and all that. But what's the plan for you for this season? Are you going for that AM Championship or not?
Last week's media race was a bit disappointed on my front for the Silverstone layout. That's definitely going to be probably my weakest point of the season. So I'm kind of glad that's last, because it allows me for the other 5 races, including this one, to really sort of set a flag down, set a marker down, and just see how I compare to everybody else for the first 2 races. But if it's going to be like this, I think me, Michael, Kev, and 1 or 2 of the other Rams jumping in as well, some great pace from some of the others as well. I think we're going to have a very close one this season. So after the second race, if I make it into the interview booth again, I might be saying, yeah, let's put a hard battle forward and try and get that win.
Okay, you kind of sat on the fence a little bit there, Mr. Corley. I'll give you that one because it is only week 1, but you know,
just my insurance policy, that one.
Yeah, I bet it was as well. But Jay, look, an absolute incredible win for you in race 2, second place in race 1. Couldn't have started this season any better, really. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
To yourself and the rest of the commentary booth for putting on an absolutely fantastic broadcast. I've had a few people come into my chat and say that they've really enjoyed watching both what I'm streaming and what you're doing at the same time. And to everybody else who has come in to make this first season of the JPB absolutely scintillating.
Scintillating. I love the man. You had to stick your teeth in for that one, Jay, didn't you there, mate?
Don't watch back my stream replay, whatever you do.
Oh, that's my job for later. I do a little bit of work. But Jay, look, it's been a pleasure talking to you, as it always is, mate. Thank you so much for coming in. And look forward to having a chat with you as the season goes on there, bud.
Fingers crossed. Thank you again, guys.
Take care. Right, now we're going to have a chat with the only Mr. Arthur Fertile. Second in race 1, third in race 2. For a man who declares he's not that quick in the TCRs than he is in the GT4s, I don't think you did too badly there, Mr. Fertile. Welcome in, buddy. Hope you're well.
I'm very well. I've got no idea where that pace come from. I didn't have a clue where it came from last week either.
Yeah, but doesn't it make it exciting? Look at who we didn't have.
It does. I've had an absolutely awesome night. I was buzzing in that first race, keeping a 7K driver like honest and making him have to push in a TCR. I just couldn't believe it, and that finish as well. That was it was so good. Like I knew that Dan knew that I'd leave him the space. I knew that Dan would leave me the space, so we could just go side by side through the chicane, and we'd both survive. We'd come out, and whoever come out first would win. And then Cal was getting the run as well. It was it was just such an epic night of racing.
Yeah, well, I will say I did get a little bit excited towards the end. I was stood up. My chair did go flying backwards in the office there as well, as I was up on my feet, of course, which probably doesn't surprise anyone, to be honest. If I put on a webcam, you'd see I'd move so many times. It's unbelievable. But going forward, right, you've clearly got the pace, Mr. Fertile. Are we going to see an Arthur Fertile champ battle? Are you going to go for it? Come on.
I would love to. I would love to. I'll give it my best shot. I always will. But we'll see. We'll see if the pace continues or not.
Come on. I love it, mate.
I mean, if I ended up, after the Clios and the GT4s, if I ended up getting my first league win in a TCR, I wouldn't believe it.
What would you do? Give up the Clios and give up the GT4s?
Yeah, I'd have to retire him and just front-wheel drive specialist. Clio's front-wheel drive. But...
Yeah, get your application on the BTCC, eh?
Yeah, that's it. There was tonight the racing was so good. It was so close. There was a bit of barging and everything, a bit of door rubbing, but it was all clean and fair. And yeah, it was brilliant. It was an absolutely fantastic night. I've really enjoyed myself.
Well, Mr. Fertile, thank you so much for joining. It's a pleasure to talk to you as always there, bud. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Shout out to the team SRL and Cal as well. He's been chatting with us. We know Cal.
Yeah.
And it's just Dan and Cal making the first race so good. Everyone in SRL, everyone watching. Thank you very much, and yourself and Zach as well. I'm going to watch the commentary back. Hopefully Zach ain't got me in any trouble again.
No, he didn't. he was a good boy this week, mate.
Ah, good. You guys couldn't read the driver chat in the race, could you?
No.
Or, like in between. Okay, yeah. I probably would have got some stick if you could.
Oh, good. Well, no, we can't, because otherwise it looks bad if I bring the UI up while I'm broadcasting.
yeah, you didn't want it up.
No, exactly. But there you go, Mr. Fell. Thank you so much there, buddy. Look forward to having a chat with you as the season goes on.
Yep. Look forward to chatting with you again.
Take care, mate.
You too.
Right, and next up, a final interview of this evening is from one Mr. Dan Mould, the man that finished in first place in race 1. We've just seen him have an incident in the chicane there. Now, I did say I was going to have a look and see what happened to Dan. I'm now going to have a look and see what happened to Dan as well as he battles away with Jess Rakowski. Dan, welcome in, bud. How are you?
Hey, James. Hey, Zach.
Zach,
I'm good.
Zach is here, I think.
I am here.
Yeah,
of course.
Well, say hello. Don't be rude.
Hello. Sorry. Hi, Dan. How you doing, mate?
Respect your elders. Come on, mate. Right, Dan, there we go. Anyway, race 1. Terrific racing. I want to ask one question, and that was, did you at any point feel like you should have gone past Arthur Fertile earlier?
No.
Okay, cool.
We was in chat together, and I said to him, if I battle you now, we're losing Cal. So my plan was to give Arthur till the penultimate lap to charge on him, and if that wasn't going to happen, I was going to push Arthur. But to be fair, there was I didn't have much to offer to Arthur when he was in that draft. But as soon as he lost that draft, I felt like I could push him in a few corners. But then, as you saw, you start battling, and it brings Callum back into play again. And luckily, I got a little bit of a nudge off Callum getting into the last corner of the last lap. Or else I think he would have got the slingshot over us.
Yeah, and race 2, we've just seen the incident with Rakowski. Was that you just being quicker than Rakowski at that moment?
I was going into the chicane, getting down the side, and I thought I'm gonna back off here. Normally I wouldn't. I would have sent it, but I backed off. I tucked him behind her. And then, it was just a case of I take that chicane a lot quicker, and I misjudged the pace that Jess had, and I just touched the back end, and then I got touched from behind, and that was it. It was just a recovery race. I think I managed to catch up to Lee Bowden, and he let me go for some reason. I was expecting a battle off him. Well, I wanted a battle off him, but he let me go. I don't know why, whether he had damage or whatnot. I don't know, but yeah. You still score points, as we know, so I'm gonna try and keep this mindset of not quitting when I come off.
I want to ask you a question, actually. Thinking why Lee Bowden let you go. Now, obviously, in race 1, we saw Lee coming sideways on the grass into the old hairpin. Was it race 1 or was it race 2? It might have actually been race 2.
That was the start of lap 1 of race 2,
Yeah. So I'm wondering if at that moment Lee might have felt a bit guilty, because he did end up coming out in front of you, didn't he? And that's the thing. You had to slam on your brakes there, and I'm just wondering if that's why he let you through.
Yeah, but
I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying.
Well, if it was, then fair play to him, but it wasn't his fault he went off in the first place. And to be fair, I've just watched that replay, and the way he managed to get that car back on track safely was absolutely amazing, because I've seen cars.
Oh, there was contact.
Yeah, there was contact. I've seen cars go off in that situation and just literally come on the track at the bottom of the exit of the old hairpin and then just clatter cars out the way. He actually came, if you look at the replay,
we are looking at it now.
He's braking all the way down, and he managed to steer the car into the same direction the track's going, and just manages to get on. Obviously there's a lot of luck involved there. I was going to tuck in to the right of him, but he jinxed slightly, and I was like, ooh, so I just put best slam on here.
Yeah.
It wasn't least. If he let me go for that, then I appreciate it, but he didn't need to. He didn't need to.
Well, awesome stuff. Well, Dan, thank you so much for joining us there as well, bud. It's been a pleasure, as always, talking to you. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
everybody involved. I think obviously incidents happen in every race, but I think majority of what I've seen quickly and what I've heard in our chat and what I'm reading in the chat now, it seemed like everyone had a good race. So yeah, everybody, thanks for making this. Taking it on from SRL. It seems to be. It's just a new name, isn't it? All the driving seems to be bang on. So yeah.
Yeah,
Long may it continue.
And we've still got the likes of Sam Blease coming back as well, who couldn't make this week. So, it's going to make it even more exciting here as well. But Dan, it's been a pleasure talking to you, as it always is there, bud. And look forward to catching up with you. I'm sure I'll probably speak to you tomorrow, no doubt.
Yeah. All right, mate. See you later.
Take care, buddy.
Bye.
Well, there you go, Zach. Race 1 up and running. And if that's anything to go by, this is going to be epic.
Bring it on. Can't wait for the next 5 weeks of racing action. Again, Donington, always a fantastic circuit, but the great thing about this championship is the fact that we've got exclusively UK circuits across the world, sort of replicating the BTCC as best we can. And yeah, well, bring it on, because we've got 5 more fantastic circuits to travel through and hopefully 10 more brilliant races to display equally the standard of driving that we've seen over the course of both the media day and here in round 1.
Yeah, and we've still got the likes of Sam Blease to return here as well, and there was a couple of others that couldn't make it tonight. So stay tuned. There is literally, guys, if you do want to sign up, I think there's like 3 places. Like, if you're watching this and you're thinking, oh my God, I want some of that, there is literally 3, I think it's 2 or 3 places left in the league. Obviously, you can take round 1 as your drop week. There is actually free, so you can take round 1 as your drop week and come and join in for the rest of the season if it's something you want to do. But guys, for now, from me and Zach Sweeney up here in the very hot and sweaty JPB booth, I'm not gonna lie, as always, thank you so much to everybody that's joining us here as well. It's been an absolute pleasure with all of you in chat. There's so many of you tonight, I can't quite go through you all, but it's been absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for joining us here, guys, as well. And from myself and Mr. Zach Sweeney up here, take care, have a great week, and you never know, we might see you on the track sometime. Good night.